Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Well, this afternoon, pressure is piling on drivers to reduce transport fares as fuel prices fall to their lowest since 2022. The second largest fuel retailer, GOIL, today announced a reduction in its pumps at its pump, selling petrol at 10.99 per litre, making it the first time really that fuel is selling below 11 Ghana cedis per litre in nearly 4 years. To put it into perspective, in 2022, GOIL sold Super XP petrol at 10.95 Ghana cedis per litre and diesel XP at 14.50 per litre. 14 Ghana cedis, by the way. So this is the first time we're seeing that reduction in the past 4 years. So let's look into the numbers. Caleb Ziblim of our research desk joins me in the studio just to walk us through the prices at the pumps and what exactly we should expect in coming days. Let's start from what the prices were before this adjustment.
Yes, so before this adjustment, GOIL was selling about 11 cedis, 99 pesos for petrol or super, and then 12 cedis, 94 pesos for diesel. So before this, GOIL was about 12 cedis for petrol and almost 13 cedis for diesel. And now we've seen a drop from the 12 cedis to now 10 cedis, 99 pesos. That's about 11 cedis for petrol, and then 11 cedis, 96 pesos for diesel. Now, this is important because this is the first time since 2022 that we are seeing fuel prices this low, since 2022. And then, it was in 2022 where we had the crisis. And in November 2022, that's where we saw diesel shoot up to about 23 cedis per litre. And since 2022, fuel prices have been elevated. And the transport drivers and the unions have been complaining about this for a very long time because prices remain elevated. Even though they came down a bit, they remain above 12 to 14 cedis. And at the beginning of 2025, just last year, fuel started selling about 16 cedis. Diesel was almost 16, 15.99, almost 16 cedis. So this is significant. So we are beginning the year with fuel selling below 10 cedis for super or petrol and about 11, almost 12 cedis for diesel. Now, Star Oil, and this is where, the comparison starts in, because Star Oil
has the market leader.
Is the market leader, and in 2022, GOIL was the market leader. GOIL had about 20% share of the entire market. So if all those buying fuel, 20% of them, they used to go to GOIL. But now, currently, GOIL is just doing about 9%. So that's a massive drop from 20% in 2022 to 9% in 2025. GOIL has dropped massively. And Star Oil is now about 10% of the market. So Star Oil is now the market leader. So the whole conversation used to be that if your fuel was cheaper, it was inferior, which is what GOIL used to capitalize on and get more of the market share. But then as Star Oil had been consistent over a very long time and kept supplying fuel and people could trust the fuel, they decided to shift more away from GOIL to Star Oil. And it's not just Star Oil, because if you look at the numbers from the NPA, most of the other players in the market, the Zen, the Allied, and the other OMCs actually gaining more market share while GOIL has been reducing. Again, GOIL has dropped from 20% market share to 9% market share. And then this morning, when we all woke up to see GOIL's reduction to less than 11 cedis for the first time since 2022, we were all surprised. And then just a few hours later, we saw Star Oil also come out with their own reduction, and they reduced from about 10 cedis, 80 pesos for super, to now 10 cedis, 56 pesos for super. That's a Star Oil. And at some places, they need 10 cedis, 30 pesos. So realistically, we can hope that in the coming months, this goes to below 10 cedis for the first time in about more than 5 years. We're going to see diesel fuel prices selling below 10 cedis for the first time in almost 5 years now. And you might ask why we are seeing the drop in fuel prices. Well, fuel prices are made up mainly of the exchange rates and then the price of crude on the market. So if these two main factors, the exchange rates and the price of crude oil on the market, are favorable for Ghana, we'll see a reduction in the price at the pumps. And if you look at the external side, that's crude oil. The price of crude on the market has been falling down. And for the past, the whole 2025, the price was subdued. They were about $60 per barrel, and they barely crossed $70 per barrel. And that's coming from a high in 2024 of about $80, sometimes $90 per barrel. So this has dropped. And after the US decided to invade Venezuela and then all the geopolitics going on there, people expected crude oil price to go up massively, but they've not. In fact, they dropped a bit and then they've started climbing up a little bit. So even though there's some uncertainty on the crude oil prices, the forecast is that crude oil price will remain subdued because of excess supply of crude and then lower demand for crude. And again, the second factor is the cedi stability. Because the cedi stability, because the cedi has been very stable for a very long time, and last year the cedi started trading about 14 cedis 70 pesos to a dollar, and ended the year at 10 cedis 40 pesos. It's currently now 10 cedis 50 pesos thereabouts. These are the main reasons why we can see the price of petrol at the pumps coming down. Mainly because crude oil prices are low on the world market. The cedi is performing remarkably against the dollar on the back of gold, and how Ghana has now centralized our gold operations and all of that. And the price of gold has also more than doubled in the past year. And then projections are price of gold will also keep going up. So if the two projections come to stay, that's price of gold keeps going up, oil prices stay subdued or even go down further, especially because of Trump's actions in Venezuela and all of that. This could mean that in the next few pricing windows, if we are lucky, and if the OMCs, Star Oil and the other OMCs decide to go as GOIL even harder and keep reducing the prices so as to reduce GOIL's market share and all of that, we could possibly see fuel prices in the single digits.
Now, one would expect that these reductions will ease the cost of transportation, especially for commuters, and also reduce operating costs for transport operators. But on the ground, that is far from the case. Commuters are lamenting that transport fares are rather on the rise. They say that the rush when they experience, especially during the festive season when drivers increase fares to manage the mad rush, have appeared to have stopped, because now drivers are refusing to return the prices to the normal one, and some of them are actually charging twice the actual cost of fare or avoiding loading passengers straight to their destination. Instead, they run short trips to triple their gains, and now pressure is really piling on GPRTU and other drivers' union to pass the fuel savings and gains to the consumers. Well, we'll be on the ground shortly to engage my colleague Gemma Pia, who has been engaging passengers on the ground. We'll touch base with her shortly just to find out what the atmosphere is on the ground. But thankfully, I have with me Samuel Ama. He is a member of the National Communications Team of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. We appreciate your time. I also have joining me via phone another key member of another transport union, David Aguado. He is Public Relations Officer of the Concerned Drivers Association. I also have with me joining via Zoom COPEC, Duncan Amwa. He is Executive Secretary of COPEC. He will just be giving us his thoughts on how really we can sustain these gains and why exactly we're seeing these gains. But I'd like to start with the drivers because they're on the ground. So I'll start with Samuel Amwa. Should commuters and drivers especially expect a reduction in transport fares?
Thank you very much for having
Samuel,
me
can
on
you hear
the
me?
show. And let me use this opportunity to say good afternoon. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you also hear me?
Loud and clear now.
Am I clear now?
You are.
Sure. All right. So I want to use this opportunity to say good afternoon to you, and then Happy New Year to yourself and all your cherished viewers and listeners. Yes, we have been seeing some reductions on petroleum products, and it's clear. And someone will ask why, drivers are not reducing their transport fares. For the past year, and that was the beginning of 2025, and drivers started complaining about, by then the fuel prices were high. During around June, April thereabout, we were asked to reduce our transport fares by 15%. This reduction came by the reduction of petroleum products. We were looking forward for the other component, that like the spare parts, the lubricant, and the taxes to also come down, but it couldn't do that. We complained, and the promise we gave the public was that in as much as spare parts are high and fuel is not the only component we use, we are trying as hard as we can to to hold on with our current transport fares so that we can actually end the year without
Samuel, we seem to have lost connection to you. Okay, you're back.
Oh, is that so?
Yes, but you're back
okay.
now.
So what I was trying to say, yes, we have seen some reductions of Trump, but you know, we only on the petroleum product, or we need the petroleum product to consider the cost of spare parts, the cost of lubricant, and then all these components. Yes, product. Management to the spark, we to them in the trade ministry. They gave us a promise that they are going to work on the to also be reduced, so that if we the transporters are saying we are reducing transport fares, we will run at a loss. Because as I'm speaking to you, there are vehicles that they break down. We don't even have money to.
But Samuel, realistically speaking, Samuel, if you allow me come in at this point, you agree that within this pricing window, fuel prices have gone down at least twice. Samuel, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Great. I'm saying realistically speaking, you agree with me that within this pricing window, fuel prices have gone down at least twice. Now, we've also engaged the spare part dealers, and they say they have reduced the price of spare parts. So we're wondering, when will we, the consumers, feel the impact of these gains?
Okay, so the price down with to when price drop.
Oh dear, we're struggling to hear Mr. Amwa. Mr. Amwa, you have to position widely because this question is key, and I'm hoping that your connection can be better. If you can try again, hopefully this time it's a bit clearer. Position yourself again and let's try one more time. Okay, while we wait for Mr. Amwa to try and position himself to join the conversation, let me bring in David Abado, his Public Relations Officer of the Concerned Drivers Association. We appreciate your time. We're wondering, how long will it take for the fuel prices reduction to translate into noticeable savings for customers as well as commuters?
Okay, once again, good afternoon to your viewers and then the listeners as well.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, we Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana are not planning any decrease of transport fare now.
Why?
Because we have 5 components that we use in determining the price increment or decrement. As I'm speaking with you, it is only fuel that is gaining downward trend, and then that of the inflation is gaining downward trend. But the rest 3 are upgoing. The lubricant, the price is not coming up, but the price remains at where it is. But as I'm talking with you, the spare parts are skyrocketing. I heard you were saying spare parts dealers say they have reduced price of spare parts. It is not true that they have reduced the price of spare parts. At the last time, if I recall, when we meet with them at the minister's office, the trade minister's office, they told us it is only SUV and then that of Land Cruisers that they have reduced their prices. But we commercial drivers are talking that the prices on our spare parts are very high and even now skyrocketing. When you go to Abusokan right now and you want to buy an engine for Sprinter bus, it now ranges between the old currency, 600 million, that's 60,000 Ghana cedis, to 45,000 cedis. When you ask of Toyota Fish engine is raising from 600 million to 650 million. That's 65,000 Ghana cedis and 60,000 Ghana cedis. When you ask of Toyota Fish, the engine is skyrocketing. When you ask of Kia, Trust, and other things, all the cars that we use as commercial cars, their spare parts are now exorbitant, very, very high. So when they say they reduce spare parts, they should come clear and tell us the parts that they have reduced. They haven't reduced any of the commercial parts.
But Mr. Abuado, you agree with me that each time fuel prices go up, we see a sharp corresponding increase in transport fares. Why are we not seeing the same when it comes to the reduction of fuel prices? Why are you now tying other factors? It appears drivers are being greedy, are you not?
We are not greedy, because the first time the decrement comes, it is we drivers that rather run to the ministry and tell the minister that fuel price is low, so let's do something about it. We went there 3 consecutive times. Even some of us get annoyed and then come to the air before the minister to agree that we should decrease the transport fare. So we are not being greedy, but we are being fair, because this that we are doing, we are all building a nation that we all want. We are all transforming Ghana to another level. So we, the transporters, are not being greedy. This time around, it is the paper dealers that are pushing us high to this corner.
David, stay with me, and I'm hoping by this time I have clear connection to Amma. I'll come to Amma as well, but I have Duncan Amma with me, and I would just want to get an understanding as to why we're seeing this continuous reduction in fuel prices. What are the key drivers, Duncan?
In fact, your inventory in country is pretty high at present.
Okay.
Again, you have international benchmark also dropping or declining. So world market prices have come down prices. And again, the city seems to have also recovered from an earlier depreciation run. Not long ago, it was doing our 11.5, 12 Ghana, unofficially Bangas. Today, it's up 10.52. That is quite. And so when you put together, there's a like that the price line. Honest, we have next day, which is the 6th day of January, is one of the significant that in some price discount. For a player, well, just as mentioned earlier, who was controlling the downstream volume, almost 6%, currently when less than 10%. They've taken cognizance of that the Ghanaian consumer is present, and for have declined almost 150 in one day, significant. Again, players like who had already gone down have also responded in downtrend. And so it tells that those periods that, if you recall in 2015, July, when we started the revision, the fear number of petroleum consumers had was that there was catalyzation. Today has proved that the market is rather fierce contest. And there's some stuff picking up reality that consumers like you and I and private are very price, and for which the OPCs are going on price. Not well, and
Ms. Amma, unfortunately, we're struggling to hear you. If you could try and position rightly, even as you make that point for us, I'm just wondering if this is sustainable moving forward. How long should we expect these good times?
I think this could be sustained. The managers of your economy, which is the Bank of Ghana, the Finance Ministry, again, the Gold Board program, if it is anything to sustain our city's good run-up, need to work even harder, because there's fair results show at the one current stable issue. Again, international market still have a chart which is over supply as opposed to over. And so when it starts to be added now, prices still have not responded or up. So it looks quite stable for them. Now, once it continues to be stable or even strong, these that we are seeing could sustain. But let me go still a bit the transfer price bit. It was very disappointed by brothers with their transport union. I mean, biggest status. I would say that people will work what the OF do in the course of the week. Later, early next we'll complete with them and what they reach and how much they would also eat on other the price goods and services. Now, the excuse of stand up fair part days up.
Oh dear, Dr. now is we unfortunately are still struggling to hear you. If you can position rightly and just try one more time, I'll be grateful.
So it's any better now?
Much
but
better.
I can hear you clear.
Yes, unfortunately, we keep losing you intermittently.
So what I'm saying is that the excuses that I'm hearing from my brothers, the GPRTU and the concerned drivers, will not be countenanced. They are my very good friends. And I think that in the spirit of good faith and nationhood, when you have fuel prices decline by as much as 2-3 Ghana cedis a litre, to now trade around 10-11 Ghana cedis, it is significant. They cannot make the excuse of lubricants and the others. We can give them a close of week and see how the oil market companies also respond. Latest, we will spin a meeting and see what they have to do to the market. They cannot which they are in that they pick these the number I would.
Oh, Duncan, we really want you to make this point because unfortunately you started very well. We lost you halfway with your connection, but hopefully you can make that point for us this time, trying positioning as a different point for us, just to give it another try whilst we hear that. I get a sense that you are concerned about the posture taken by the drivers.
I do not think that in the spirit of nationhood or in the spirit of building a country that we all want to live in and enjoy, these excuses that I'm hearing this afternoon will be good enough. I don't think it will be good enough. You've seen in a single day, like I indicated earlier, GOIL, which began, let's say, last night or this morning, from around 12.62 pesos, has gone down to about 11 there. It's significant. It's not just, but over 1%. It's dropped for the past 3 weeks. So if there's coming at selling that they are in helping the cost and services come down, we'll give them the cost.
Okay.
Whether I from this, we will need with them and probably do the number 7, how much also risk, so that it has not just one-sided prices. I mean, fuel has gone down. Once it happens to lubricants, also.
Oh dear. Duncan, you're making key points. Unfortunately, we're still struggling with your connection, and so it's difficult for us to follow you through. But point well noted. I still have Samuel Amwa with me. He is with GPRTU, and I have David Abuado. He is with the Concerned Drivers Association. I also have Gemma on the ground, our reporter Gemma Pia. She's been engaging in some frustrated commuters. They are piling pressure on GPRTU and other unions to indeed reduce the prices of transport fares. Gemma, you're on the ground. You've been engaging some of the commuters. What are they telling you?
Well, the commuters are saying that the drivers are enjoying reduced fuel prices, and so they also want to benefit from same. They talk about how they get to their destinations and how much they have to pay to get from one or to go from one point to the other. And so if the drivers are now through various factors are enjoying reduced fuel prices, then that should also transfer to them where they get to enjoy reduced fares as well. So they also talk about the frustrations of these drivers, which they say is also putting some level of pressure on them. The drivers have been complaining about the bad roads that they have to deal with, and so even calling for the reduction in transport, the cost of transportation becomes a bit difficult for them, but they also want to, regardless, want to enjoy that fuel reduction.
Thank you so much, Gemma. Let me bring in David Abuado. It appears drivers keep shifting the goalpost. Each time there's an increase in fuel prices, we expect transport fares to go up. Now we're seeing a reduction in fuel prices, but then you are citing other factors like the road, the state of the road. Why is that the case?
You see, we are not talking about the state of the road now.
Okay.
What we are basing on is our friends in Abu Sokan.
Okay.
They are pushing us to the doom than being good to the nation. Why am I saying so? You see, the other time I mentioned it once that we met at the minister's office, that's Minister of Trade office. They were telling us they have reduced prices, and we asked them specific cars that we are using for commercial purposes in Ghana, because Ghana here, the commercial cars that we are using is only 5 folds: the Sprinter buses, the Kia, or let me put it, the Benz buses, the Nissan buses, the Toyota, and then the Kia buses. Those are the 4 or 5 vehicles that we use in commercial, both the cargoing or carrying cars. Those are the cars that we use. As I'm speaking with you, when you go to the market, last year, the prices of the engine, the spare parts were a little bit down. But this year, they have increased it twice and 3 times the prices of the old. Meanwhile, dollar is coming down, everything is coming down. But their spare parts are going high. When we question them, they say it's no more in the market. That's why it's very positive. We, like, even they maintain the price for Sprinter bus at even 300 million, that's 30,000 Ghana cedis, the new currency. We will reduce transport fare. That will amaze everybody. But yes, sir, they are not doing it. So we cannot reduce transport fare. If Abu Sokan people will be truthful to Ghana and reduce their part, I bet you, I give you only 1 week, we will reduce transport fare drastically.
David, there's another key concern that has been raised, even though you are adamant to change your posture, that these gains may be sustained, especially because global prices are coming down. Are you still going to maintain this posture, even though we are seeing reduction in fuel prices?
We are seeing reduction in fuel prices. Fuel is day in, day out activity that we do. Because we buy fuel, if we buy fuel, the vehicle will not go out. Yes. Seen it. We have seen how fuel has reduced from even 17 cedis to 11 cedis or 10 cedis now. But as I'm speaking with you, fuel, the price of fuel, even if you work for 1 week, the increment that you get, if you put it down, you can add it to it and even buy shock absorber or tear rack. You understand? That is what is pushing us not to reduce the transport fare. But if those things even are stable, like the tear rack, the price is stable, we can do something about it. But as it stands now, there is nothing that we can do about it.
Another key concern have come up, really. During the festive season, because of the mad rush, we had transport fares spiking. Some individuals we have engaged tell us that for distance like Cashew, where they usually would pay something very little, they had to pay 20 cedis, and other areas as well. Now that the festivities are over, they complain that some drivers have maintained that cost. As a driver, I'm sure this concern has come to your attention as an association.
Yes, it has come to our
How are you
attention.
dealing with it?
We are dealing with it drastically. As I'm talking to you, when we ask from La Paz to Cashew, we still maintain that they take the 10 cedi that they are taking. So we have Institute Task Force at La Paz. We have Institute Task Force at Medina. But it's left with Accra Central, because Accra Central, we don't have a permanent loading point over there. It's on the street that we are loading. It's very difficult to, put things over there. But we are calling on the metro, that's the AMA, and then the police over there to support us do the right thing and the needful at this time. Because the price from Accra to Cashew is 10 cedis. So it's supposed to be 10 cedis, not the 20 cedis or 15 cedis, even not 11 cedis, 10 cedis, we must take it.
Yeah, and you keep mentioning that it's supposed to, but it's not the case on the ground. So how soon can the individuals watching us live now on all our social media platforms expect these changes to reflect back in transport fares?
I would say, so the end of this month, we will see a drastic change in that thing, and it won't happen again.
We should give you 1 whole month to fix a problem that has to do with members of an association.
I told you we have task force at La Paz and Medina for now. That is the beginning, and it is La Paz, Medina, Accra Central, and then Amasama Road. That's where we are finding those places, those things. The 1 month that I'm giving, it will stop before that 1 month comes. It will surely stop before that 1 month comes.
Thank you so much, David Aguado. He's PRO for the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana. Let me wrap up with Samuel Amwa. He's a member of the National Communications Team of the Ghana Transport Union. Thank you so much for your time. We lost you earlier because of connection issues. Now that you're back, should we expect members of GPRT to reduce prices soon?
Good. I want our listeners to not get the perception like the drivers don't want to reduce their transport fares. No, that is not the perception. You see, when it got to a point where we were supposed to reduce by 15%, we did. But then floor price was reduced for 18%. That brought us, this 15% reduction on transport fares, although the spare passes were the same. Now, what happened was that my brother Agbado was explaining when we went to the the Trade Ministry, and what transpired over there. We have had interactions with the Spare Parts Dealers Association, and they are working on it to make sure that our parts that we use regularly will also be reduced. As I'm speaking to you now, the GPRT leadership is on Christmas reset, and we will be back on the 12th. That is coming Monday. We are resuming. And as soon as we resume office, these are some of the things we are going to put them together, making sure, we always have a team that goes out there to check on all these components to see how much, percentage has been reduced on fuel price, how much percentage is on spare parts and other components. Then we all wrap up before we know if we are to reduce. Then if we are to reduce, then how much percentage are we going to reduce? I also overheard him asking Mr. Aguado about some of the drivers that do charge unapproved fares. I want to correct this. You see, it's nationwide exercise. We had a meeting with the transport minister, and this complaint came about. And we told the transport minister that those problems are not coming from the GPRT members. And that, we have drivers that don't belong to any of the union. That is why we set the task force team to make sure that when you find out that you are a union driver or you are a member of GPRT and you find you doing that, there was a serious sanction that will be applied to you. And that same way, the transport minister also promised that the AMA boss and his team are also going to go out. So those that don't belong to any of the union will be arrested by the police. We also send this complaint to the police for the police to also assist us. Because we as GPRT, we don't have the powers to arrest those that don't belong to our union. It's our duty to make sure that our drivers will comply with all the transport fares that we have agreed upon. But those that don't belong to our union, it's very, very difficult to control them. That is why we also ask the police to assist us. We also ask the transport minister, together with the municipal and the metropolitan assemblies, to also assist them, so that those that don't belong to our union and they are charging unapproved fares, charging double fares, taking passengers and will not get them to their final destination and be taking monies from them, price and all that. We put a stop to that. So we are working hard to make sure that passengers will also enjoy the benefit that we are also gaining. It's not like we just want to be that soft and we don't want to reduce our transport fare. There is something that I used to say, that anytime we reduce our transport fares goes down, it helps us. When it goes up, it doesn't help us, because you find most of the passengers do work instead of coming to our various stations to come and join vehicles to shorter distances. So we are working on it. When it gets to a point where we are supposed to reduce it, GPRT, most of the time you see other small unions coming up with proposed transport fare increment. When we sit down and we find out that it's not due for them to increase, we call them and we make sure that those increments will not come. Likewise, we also make sure when the time is due, to also reduce our transport fares.
When will the time be due?
Enjoy in the country.
Samuel, when will the time be due?
Yes.
When?
Come again.
When will the time be due to reduce transport fares?
Yes, I said earlier. Yeah, I said earlier. Yes, I said earlier that the GPRTU leadership is on Christmas recess and we're zooming on the 12th. That is coming Monday. I told you that we have a team that goes out there on the component, the amount of percentages that has been due on the petroleum product, the spare part, the lubricant, and other things. When they come and we sit down, we find out that there is the need for us to reduce. Yes, we do that. When we find out that there is not the need for us, when there is not the need for us to also reduce, we also come out and we explain to the public why reduction cannot come at this point that we are now.
Thank you so much, Samuel. And that's how we wrap up that conversation. But let me take you now to Kumasi because long-distance travelers are piling up at bus stations in Kumasi, including the Kumasi Takwa station, as post-Christmas travel pressure overwhelms transport services. Passengers who have queued from dawn are left visibly stranded at the station, waiting anxiously as minibuses and vans fill up almost immediately they arrive. The queues stretch across the terminal with passengers waiting for hours, just hoping to get home, as conductors assure them that vehicles are slowly making their way back to the station.
Oh, man, 30 minutes. There we actually did, but almost a boss there's a kind of moment, a point in near be my, and the Amado Donna Coca. Yeah,
when that's what. You buy me so far. I feel me buy the after first car. A load be a the train. You hope say car for the manager. And you me a could. Oh, so far, you're free. I free a car.
Meanwhile, transport operators blame the congestion on heavy traffic on the Kumasi-Accra road caused by the rush of workers, students and holiday makers returning after the festive break. It is not always like this, but we are sure everybody will go home at the end of the day. About 8 cars have come to take passengers, and the queuing passengers are getting numbers to ensure orderliness. I believe that some schools are reopened and workers are also returning after the end of year holidays. This is why this place is choked. GPRTU officials describe this year's post-holiday rush as unusually overwhelming.
Now, someone need to say, part 1, part 2. Any panel, part 1 say, free have a quaha. We are, it did when you are, not pressure on San say.
The crowd this year has been overwhelming. This year has been different, and most of the cars are also choked on the Accra-Kumasi road. The large crowd we usually record is in 2 parts: the ones that come before and during the festive season, and the one that comes after the holidays.
Na make us a cars no ko di bonkuma beba nifa no na bia a che nti nya bi ma no ni nyina ka ho bi na masa no ma no ba on se oba ko e ba sisi e nipa efu ni nti aduma na de sa na tie fiti nya.
You're still watching The Pulse. After this quick 10, we'll tell you what exactly transpired when the Asantini visited the IGP earlier today. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Well, top security chiefs, traditional leaders and government officials gathered today at the National Police Headquarters in Accra to receive His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osei II. This is the first occasion where the Asantini has paid a courtesy call to the Inspector General of Police. The event marks a historic meeting between the traditional institution and the police service, where Otumfuo travels to meet the IGP. Usually, it will be the IGP paying him a visit, but this time he came all the way to Accra. Let's cross over now. My colleague James Aveji was at the police headquarters earlier today. First of all, James, let's start with what exactly is the significance of this event, having the Asantini visits the IGP?
Well, Faustina, I must say that we are still here at the police headquarters where the final lap of activities has just concluded, and I'm sure I'll be briefing you on that. But back to the significance, I think that is huge because, as you said, this is the first time we have the Asantini leaving his kingdom to come here to the police headquarters to pay a courtesy call on the Inspector General of Police.
James? We seem to have lost connection to James. He's at the police headquarters, just bringing us up to speed, some of the key things that have happened today. We saw some key security personnel pass through that meeting. We will be delving into the IGP's address because he gave the Asantini some assurances when he visited today. We'll delve into that once we get clear connections to James Aveji. We saw the likes of even the former IGP there today and top security experts there while they receive the Asantini. We want to just get the thoughts of James Aveji on this because he is on the ground, and so we'd like to find out the purpose of this visit. I'm told I have clear connection now to James Aveji. James, I lost you earlier. Please go on.
Yes, I was establishing the fact that this is significant because it is the first time the Otumfuo would have to move from the Ashanti region here to the police headquarters to pay that courtesy call on the IGP. Now, the main focus of this is to hold a meeting between the two parties to look at very significant national security matters, issues, focusing on the safety, the maintenance of law and order across the country. That is the main reason for this visit, and that is what we've been looking at within various activities in the last 4, 5, 6 hours or so since morning around 10 a.m. Faustina.
And let's delve into the IGP's address. What exactly did he say?
The IGP, Christian Tatayohuno, first starts by acknowledging the deepening of relationship between the police and the traditional authorities, especially the support of the Otumfuo Osei II in the last years in terms of policing in the Ashanti region across Ghana, as well as his committed fight against illegal mining in it.
Went on to also commend Your Majesty and highlight your role in peace building and conflict resolution, which has had a profound impact on national security. Mentioning your exceptional mediation skills, which have restored peace in numerous conflicts across our nation, compels me to describe you as the King Solomon of our time. Your wisdom, patience, and moral authority have brought calm where tension once prevailed, and unity where division once threatened our peace. Specifically, you chaired the Committee of Eminent Chiefs that successfully resolved the long-standing Dagbon chieftaincy crisis, restoring peace and stability to the area. Your mediation efforts in Yendi, and more recently in the protracted Boko conflict, to mention a few, have yielded practical recommendations that continue to guide security operations. Today, the relative calm in Boko has significantly enhanced policing efforts and community confidence. It is worth noting that chiefs, as custodians of land, culture, and customs, remain indispensable partners in maintaining law and order. In this regard, Your Majesty, you have personally intervened in numerous land and chieftaincy disputes in the Ashanti region, restoring sanity, reducing violence, and making policing more effective.
Well, the IGP also spoke about the Otumfo's role in fighting galamsey, especially in the Ashanti region.
In the context of illegal mining, your directive urging chiefs to take firm action against it in their jurisdictions demonstrate the continued relevance of traditional leadership in addressing modern security challenges, and this is emulating. Your Royal Majesty, beyond peace and security, your contribution to national development is monumental. Through your humanitarian support to the helpless through the Otumfo Education Fund, thousands of vulnerable but brilliant students across Ghana have received opportunities to pursue education. As Chancellor of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Your Majesty continues to bridge tradition and academia, ensuring that cultural heritage coexists with innovation and research. In the area of culture, diaspora relations, and global influences, you are a global symbol of African culture. Through cultural preservation, initiatives such as the Menchia Palace Museum and your engagement with the African diaspora, you have projected Ashanti and the Ghanaian culture far beyond our borders. These efforts have strengthened diaspora relations, enhanced Ghana's international profile, promoted tourism, and positioned our tradition as subjects of global academic and cultural study.
Well, James Savage is still with me. James, let's talk about the Asantini himself, because he raised some significant concerns about security and other matters during his speech. What are the details?
Well, firstly, the Asantini also, first of all, acknowledge the fact that the relationship between the two entities must be deepened, and went further to commend the police on how they have, over the years, especially in recent years, consistently continue to ensure the safety of citizens, even in what he described as very harsh conditions that they find themselves in.
We are deeply humbled by the extraordinary courtesies extended to us this morning. Watching the ladies' parade, I thought I should have worn my police dress to be here. Our plea of the IGP to give me a police dress so next time when I come, I can be a policeman. The police service has gone through many challenging epochs. Changing political circumstances have impacted on the service in different ways. But it is fair to say that through it all, the service has maintained a level of commitment and professionalism we should be proud of. Whenever and wherever you have been called upon to undertake international duties, you have acquitted yourselves with full credit. The greatest pride of Ghanaians today is that our nation is recognized in the world as an oasis of peace in an environment of turbulence. The international community widely acclaims us for the safety in our streets. If we take pride in our climate of peace and accept the plaudits of the world for the safety in our streets, we cannot fail to acknowledge the crucial role of the frontline protectors of our peace and security. When we snuggle in our comfortable beds at night, we cannot forget that there are thousands of our sons and daughters battling with mosquitoes while dutifully protecting us from the snares of criminal minds. And while we trudge along our motorways, whether in our shining limousines or the humble trotro or Aboboya and Praja, we cannot forget that there are again thousands of our sons and daughters keeping guard in the most inhospitable spots just to make sure we arrive safely at our destinations. The truth is not in us if we fail to acknowledge that we owe a huge debt of gratitude to the blue uniform for the safety we cherish. So today we say Aiko to the police for faithful service to the nation. Aiko for your selfless sacrifices in the most difficult terrains. Aiko for the safety in our streets. And Aiko for selflessly standing guard while we sleep.
James, you're still with us. What did he charge the police to do moving forward?
Two key charges to the police. First is the call for a modified police training, which would entail the values of society. And the second one is for the police, through the IGP, to work hard to redeem the lapsing integrity of the Ghana Police Service in some circumstances, as well as try to gain public trust moving forward.
I have always believed that the discipline and the values instilled during training by the police and military shapes one for a lifetime. No one who goes through the training is ever in doubt about what the uniform represents and the values they profess to uphold when they bear the coat of arms. So it is puzzling, to say the least, when Ghanaians see men in uniform act publicly in a manner which evidently compromises the integrity of the service. They provide an escape route to doubters who will argue that if the men of the disciplined service cannot maintain their values, how can they expect civil society to be able to do so? As we embark on this journey together, we will urge you, IGP, and your devoted colleagues to seriously tackle issues affecting police integrity and public trust. It may well be necessary to reinforce or upskill the values you include in your men, so they are left in no doubt. Whatever they do which compromises the integrity of the police also dishonor the uniform and the coat of arms they bear. I also hope that you work towards making the service politically neutral. There will always be one government responsible for the state of Ghana, and as the police service of the state, you are sworn to be unalloyed in your loyalty to the government. But there must be a line drawn between the government and a political party, and I believe both government and the service will find it in their common interest for the police to be manifestly pursuing law enforcement with bias towards none, but without fear or favor, affection or ill will. When I survey the galaxy of agile men and women assembled before me today, I'm filled with confidence that you are up to any challenge that the year may throw up, and I encourage you to stick together.
Well, my colleague James Aveji is still with us. James, just before I let you go, if you could give us updates, that closed-door meeting between the Asantini and the IGP, do you have any updates from that?
Yeah, so gracefully, the two have given us a brief media engagement after that meeting, and the IGP has been explaining the rationale behind recent promotions in the Ghana Police Service. You recall that a few days ago, he promoted some 30 men. His justification has been that they've been promoted on the basis of their role in the combat against crime and armed robbery across the country. The Otunfo, in his remark, said the IGP must ensure that key activities in the police, including the recruitment and promotions, must stay clear of political influence in order to ensure.
Oh dear, we seem to have lost James Aveji. But thank you so much, James, for that update. Away from that, President John Dramani Mahama has stated that the fight against illegal mining, Galamsey, is beginning to yield positive results, with some water bodies starting to clear up. It said that it has not indeed been an easy fight. Speaking at the 77th Annual New Year School at the University of Ghana, he commended the Land and Natural Resources Minister, the Anti-Illegal Mining Team NIMUS, and other stakeholders for their efforts. He urged them not to give up, but to continue the fight strongly. We'll hear from him shortly, but the keynote speaker, governance expert and business management consultant Ishmael Yamson, also addressed the subject, stating that no economy can survive when its environment is sacrificed for the greed of a select few.
And then the culture of impunity. Madam Chairperson, we want with horror as our pristine river bodies, the Pra, the Ankobra, the Birim, the Ofin, and many others, are turned into toxic mud by illegal mining. With this destruction, we see this destruction happening in broad daylight, often with the complicity of those who want to protect us. When a nation poisons its own water to feed the greed of a few, it is not just an environmental crisis, it is a spiritual collapse. Additionally, Ghanaians watch helplessly every day as their leaders plunder the resources meant to develop their medical, educational, water, roads, bridges, and other economic and social infrastructure, while the few public office holders acquire huge and numerous assets and live offensive, ostentatious lives.
We can now hear from President John Dramani Mahama.
We're implementing sustainable mining practices, protecting forests and water bodies, and investing in renewable energy and strengthening climate adaptation for vulnerable communities. I want to commend the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources in the fight against galamsey. It has so entered the fabric of our people that it's not been an easy fight. Communities have mobilized to attack, the task force when they have gone to enforce the ban on illegal mining. And so I'll encourage the task force, the Minister, the Environmental Protection Agency, all of those involved in the fight against illegal mining, please don't give up. There are some positive results beginning to show. Recently, during the Christmas, my house was like the Makola market. Every person who knows the family, friends, business people, everybody wanted to come and spend a few minutes wishing us Merry Christmas. And so on 25th, the house was full outside, the cars parked all the way to the main road, and everybody coming to take just a few minutes of our time to wish us Merry Christmas. And so Madam Lodina said, we cannot take this stress, and so pack your bag, I'm taking you out of town. And so we ran away to a place called Crown Forest, where they have some zebras and giraffes. And I was telling Uncle Ishmael Yamson, for the first time in 2 years, I slept at 9 o'clock in the night and woke up at 9 o'clock the next morning. And it was a very peaceful, serene environment. But why I raise it is that when you go to where they have the animals, you cross a stream. And before we crossed the bridge, I asked them, which river is this? They said it was the Ayinsu River. And he said, if you had come here 6 months ago, this water was the color of coffee. He says now it's the color of light Milo. And so, it's getting better. And so we appreciate the work that NIMOS and the river guards are doing. Apparently, the river guards had operated upstream where the mining was taking place. And so it had changed the color of the water. And so that's why I'm encouraging you to keep up the fight and even strengthen it.
President Mahama also revealed that materials for the construction of a 10,000 bed capacity hostel for the University of Ghana are on their way to the country. He said that this is expected to ease accommodation challenges on the campus of the University of Ghana.
Most of our students have to live outside campus and travel to lectures every day. There have been a few unfortunate incidents where students have either been knocked down by vehicles and have died, or in a few cases been attacked by armed robbers and unfortunately lost their lives. It is preferable that we have as many of our students living on campus or as close to campus as possible. And that's why I was telling the Vice Chancellor a little good news. When I went to Singapore, we signed an agreement for a 10,000 student hostel in the University of Ghana. And this is going to be a prefabricated building. It means that the building will be manufactured somewhere and will come and be assembled on campus. And so the machines for the factory that would manufacture the building and come to assemble it on campus has been shipped from Singapore and is on its way to Accra.
Well, he noted that the recent traffic congestion on the Accra-Kumasi highway caused by church activities points to the urgent need for the new expressway. He stated that once the expressway is constructed, such gridlocks will be a thing of the past.
One of the iconic projects under our big push is going to be the Accra-Kumasi Expressway. And for those who have spoken against this expressway, I wish that they were in the traffic jam over the new year when one single church holding a convention brought the Accra-Kumasi road into gridlock for more than 7 hours. Accra is the biggest city in Ghana and the capital. Kumasi is the next biggest city in Ghana. And the traffic between these two cities, it's a shame that we have a single lane road linking our two major cities. This will be a thing of the past, and I'm looking forward to cutting sword. I'm looking forward to cutting sword early this year for the commencement of construction of the Accra-Kumasi Expressway. Early this year, too, I will inaugurate the task force that will begin the demarcation and design of the Green Digital City. This is a city that will straddle 3 regions, Greater Accra, Eastern and Volta region, and it will move some of the government offices and key institutions out of Accra into a new city. This will help to decongest the capital, Accra.
Away from that, for Ghana's cashew farmers, the biggest threat to their livelihood often comes not from pest or drought, but from a race against time and a lack of space. Selling wet, poorly dried nuts has meant lower prices and loss of income for years. But now, a major intervention in the Techiman North District is changing that equation, and as Sabitz reports from Tiobodo.
For years, Ghana's position as a leading producer of premium cashew nuts has been under threat, not by lack of yield, but by a persistent problem occurring after the harvest, poor drying. This single issue has led to rejected shipments, lost revenue and desperate sales by farmers. But in the Techiman North District, a new initiative is turning the tide, one sun-drenched nut at a time. This is the new frontline in the battle for quality. Sam Hills Company Limited, a major cashew buyer, has invested heavily in this spacious drying and storage facility. The goal, to give farmers what many lack, time and space. Amutechi Samuel is the Chief Executive Officer of Sam Hills Limited.
One thing we realized is that over the past period, the quality expectation that Ghana is recording has been going down. But then, looking at the bigger picture, we realize that many of these farmers do not have a space for drying. So Sam Hills, as a commodity expert, had decided to, build up this facility that could, dry up to about 15 trucks about 2,000 metric tons of cashew every single day.
The vision, however, stretches even further. Sam Hills sees this as just the first step in a value chain revolution.
It is a vision of Sam Hills that in the next 5 years, we would move into value addition. That is having a processing plant in Ghana, in Tiobodom, that would also help increase the number of employment that has been already generated.
Kakrapa Abigail, the gender desk managers for Sam Hills Limited, highlighted the company's commitment to strengthening economic power, especially amongst women.
We are launching a comprehensive empowerment program designed to strengthen the economic independence and personal well-being of our women. That's the farmers and the female staff. We want our women to have more than one stream of livelihood. We are committed to equipping them with the knowledge and tools to achieve that.
The impact is already being felt beyond the warehouse walls. Chairman Israel, Vice Chairman of the Cashew Traders and Exporters Association, says this facility is a game changer for the entire cashew trade. If you take a look at this huge facility established by Sam Hills, you could see that it will help improve the quality of cashew nuts here and in return improve the pricing of cashew internationally. Representative from Sidalco Limited, Rakesh Tiwari, congratulated Sam Hills, noting that this move strengthens the entire cashew sector.
On behalf of all exporting companies, I extend our heartfelt congratulations. We encourage you to keep up the excellent work because your progress strengthens us all.
Chairman of the occasion and chief of Yefri, Nana Okofurbo Techi II, says better nuts means a stronger business, and a stronger business means more employment for the youth. This facility will help us have a structured place for cashew trade and storage. So this will help our youth have jobs directly and indirectly. And this is also helping our local economy. From a simple space to dry nuts springs a vision of dried potential, roasted opportunity, and a future where Ghana's cashew industry is not just bigger but significantly better. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Chibodom.
Well, that's how we wrap up the Pulse. We appreciate your time and your company. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Saf. I'm leaving you with highlights from the 2025 edition of the Joy FM Party in the Pack. Please enjoy.